It looks like the whole thing. So essentially, for everybody see this sign that says Brunswick Hyundai and this exterior wall. That exterior wall is not the same elevation as, or the same, it doesn't start on the ground, but it starts over here at the service roof level. So if you want to know the details of that, let's go to the floor plan view, right? This is showing me all the details of that ground floor wall. But this is showing me the detail of that, especially right here, right? That wall starts at the roof level and then it goes however long it goes. Well, how do I know how long it goes? Well, there's a detail here. So section 4, A4.01. So if I go to section 4, A4.01, it's showing me the building section, right? So there is that exterior wall that starts right there. It starts at the soffit level and it goes above the roof level. I don't know if it's cut off or if they've stopped showing it, but it doesn't go all the way up. I mean, or it doesn't start all the way down. And then we can also look at detail 1, 4.01. So detail 1, 4.01, again, that's showing us that same wall. So if I'm looking at that wall and I can measure it, so it says, hey, it's 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. So let's measure, let's say preset 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. And then let's measure that distance from the bottom to the top. So that's 2 foot, 1 1/4. Okay, that's the height of that wall. And there's also, looks like we can just call that a floor for now. But this is the final drawing. Let me put it up. File open. Yeah, no rush.
What is the, like, what's this? This is just it's all, computers don't even know. Yeah. You chose them. Like, feels smart. For these walls on the outside, are these all still FM1? I don't say.
No, I don't think so. Go to the drawing.
I thought everyone just saw that.
Look at,
But I was so
and
we're giving it our new session. Yeah, and it's kind of, so let's see.
so sometimes here they had it, you don't all those old parts. This wall of something like that. So, like wall section, that's the whole front wall. And then this is the back wall section, which is the, basically the exterior wall. So it's got ephes on the outside, it's got rigid insulation, and it's got, vapor barrier, and it's got polymer seal.
Where are you seeing the numbers of the ceilings? Or is that just?
So right here, I saw, polymer seal, you can talk about.
Thank you. After you draw all the walls, and you get rid of the.
Yeah.
So you essentially got this first right there.
So don't put it in. Yeah, first, let's go back to here. Sorry. This is the release.
Well, Odin said he.
Now, it's not good. We'll have to go over there. Should really be all like those. They cost all because it's a bag. You don't want to draw anything. Don't worry about what it looks like. Let's get the 2D out and then you'll look.
There's something.
3D. Does it look right to you? Go ahead and finish it. Yeah, go ahead and finish it. No, so basically L1, what L1, that's where it needs to work. Which is basically the ground level. And then we'll adjust how tall it goes. That's where the sign. So let's select the wall. In L1. Okay, now that wall is selected, right? Now look at the properties. The has, you have the products rather in there twice. Go back to go to the Q tab. Where's the make it up? User interface. Yeah, projects. Okay. No. So it's like always the electric grid. Okay, now you're starting at base offset is wall center line and starts at eight, and the start at the ground. Change that to the ground level.
Oh, it was
You can do it all at one time. So I'll really do it for you this time. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select all the walls. Okay. And you can say. Pretty good. That's a lot of the base offset is split over to the top of the wall. What they did is now they all start at the ground.
Okay.
How high they go is just happening. So when I look at PVU and say home, and then they all start at the ground.
Oh, you said.
We'll adjust later. For now, let's go ahead and get all the walls in. And then you can adjust the height of each wall. So let's say up on these three. 18 feet, 6 inches tall. You can just say, hey, it goes up and you.
We're so old. That our whole wall is also.
Yeah. So that's how you control.
That's beautiful.
the front. Wall section.
No.
Yeah.
I
believe 90% of the work.
They done it.
You know, there's always one.
It seemed like it was a short.
Okay, yes, so don't worry about that, because that's like a, so if I were modeling this in mind, like, for my project, I would make that like a generic model. And, you know, worry about probably the details, but I would, that's like, just make it a kind of a curtain. Yeah, that's nice. Advanced tactics.
Thank you.
Right there.
What's your job?
Never know if you might need to before. The bathroom, third floor.
Right.
I
I feel like if they should walk in rain or not.
I actually have an umbrella. And it did rain when I walked here, so.
I typed in this. Okay, it's like, it just says, EIFS. Yeah, it's and it's supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it looks in Revit, you can change it, like I made mine right now. Just to give it some contrast, so I can see what but you added the height. Okay, I'll click on the material I want to change, and then there should be like a read off the show up the right of the material. And then you go to graphics, you go to surface pattern, and then you do foreground. That's any pattern you want.
It was so cute. Yeah.
These always put up anything, so there's all kinds of stuff.
Say it's easily.
No, we're just pumping.
So I think it does.
Is that what you heard?
Probably gonna get Thursday night.
What?
So you get a notice Monday night, probably gonna get Thursday night too, we need to get a time.
That's easy.
Whatever it is, what do you do? You can say that.
Except for the double. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, so.
And then what I did is I got like something like I would go farthest, I would go like with the six. And then I would put it closest to your actual like six type thing. That makes sense. I knew just that. Well, look into your child. And then go your G. Mine's like so your G is on the, and then go from G on the. All right, everybody, let's quickly go over roofs. Right? That's the last thing left for us to do. Yeah. Well, you select the generic and you have to make your own type based on what's in the wall detail. And then there you go.
All right, so I'm gonna quickly demonstrate how to create walls, right? Or roofs. So I'm gonna start a new file. Feel free to join along or watch it. Up to you guys. We're only doing flat roofs today with a little bit of slope. Okay, flat roof with a little bit of slope. Okay, go to project. I'm going to start with a blank new project. Okay, so level 1, let's just draw 4 walls. Okay, goes from level 1 up to level 2. Okay, I'm going to draw, let's say, something that looks like that. Something that looks like that. Right? So now if I want to draw a roof, okay? First, I go to my level 2. Let me actually make sure my walls go maybe a couple of feet above level 2, right? So select this and say, well, top height offset is 2 feet. So the wall goes 2 feet above the roof level. Now, in order to create a roof, just select roof over here. And it says, are you sure? Where do you want to create it? I want to create it in level 2. So if I'm not already in level 2, let me open up level 2. And then I'm going to select, first of all, I'm doing roof by footprint, but where am I? Modify. Let me escape out of this for a second. Okay. Roof by footprint. And I'm going to select that my roof is not sloped. I want a flat roof. I still want a tiny bit of slope, but I don't want like a typical roof, which is got ridges and everything else. So I'm going to uncheck define slope, and then I'm going to select the walls. And I'm going to select the interior side of the wall. Notice how it's giving you a pink line. That's telling you that that's the edge of the roof. Now, I've selected walls and selected the interior side. Basically, what I'm saying is I want my roof to be at level 2, even though the walls go 2 feet higher than that, right? And also make sure that you do not define slopes. If that is checked, you're going to get something funky. We don't want that, okay, for now, okay? And then if I want to have a slight slope in there, okay, I'm going to select slope arrow, and then I'm going to say, let's say from here to here, it's supposed to slope, okay? Now, if you look at your drawings, it says something to the effect of a 1/4 inch over 12 inches, right? So 1/4 inch over a foot, 1/4 inch over a foot going that way. What does that mean? So if I select that slope arrow, if the height offset at the head, let's make the height offset at head is 0. And then height offset at tail is, so it slopes down a 1/4 inch over 12 inches, right? 0.25 for every foot. So for, what's that distance? from here to here is 64.4, 64. So let's see, let's calculate that. Right. 0.25 times 64 is 16 inches, right? 16 inches is a foot and a half, foot and a quarter. So I'm going to select this slope arrow and say, hey, height offset at tail is -1 space 4. And when I hit apply and finish. Now, I'm going to do this one more time, but let's take a quick look at the 3D view of this. So there's my roof and it is sloped. How do I know it's sloped? So that item is selected. I'm going to go and say isolate element. Notice how it's sloped. And then reset to go back to where we started from. Questions about that? Now, let me do that one more time. Also, you can select the roof and say, you could choose different kinds of roofs that are in here. For now, let's just select a generic 12-inch roof. Generic 12-inch roof. Don't worry about the rest of it. Let's just say it's a generic 12-inch roof. So now I'm going to do it again. So I have 4 walls. I'm going to make sure my walls go, let's say, up to level 2, but they go 2 feet above level 2. Again, a lot of times we want to hide the roof, not necessarily hide the roof, but we're going to, roof has a structural property, as in, if your walls are above the roof, then what the roof does is provide some lateral resistance for wind force, right? When wind hits the side of the building, something needs to hold that wall up. Well, in this case, the roof will act as that structure. And it's called a diaphragm structure, right? So that's the point of having walls go above the roof level. So here I've done the same thing for these walls. Let me do a roof again. Roof by footprint. Again, when you drop down this arrow, there's that option for a roof by footprint. Select that. Yes, I want it at level 2, so let's make sure we're drawing it on level 2. Make sure that it does not define slopes. Now, anytime you see the red X and the green check mark, that means that you have to finish this command in order to do anything else. Notice most anything else is grayed out. That's because you're in the middle of a command. So finish that command and then you can do whatever. Now, in the previous case, I selected the walls. If I wanted, I can just draw my own roof by selecting a rectangle tool and then say, again, make sure that you pick the right corner. So that's that one corner. And then I can go to the other corner and make sure I snap it to the other corner, right? Before I finish, once again, I'm going to say, hey, my roof has a slope. So let's say I have a slope arrow that goes from here to, let's say, there. And then another slope arrow. And then I can select this and say, well, height offset at tail is, let's say, -1 1/4 again. I'm just going to go with that. And height offset at head is 0. Okay. And then I can do another slope arrow, let's say going from here to here. And then I can change that one as well. So it goes from height offset is -1 space 4 and height offset at head is 0. Hit apply, right? And now when I look at, and if I finish it, must lie on the roof boundary. Oh, the tail must lie on the roof boundary. Well, let me see if it'll let me. Well, there's 8 ways to do that. If it doesn't let me have 2 slopes going each way, what I could do is I could do half the roof and then another half of the roof and then do 2 arrows going either side, right? So what do you mean? Well, what if I did this? Let's get rid of that. What if he selected this and said, hey, my roof really doesn't go all that way. Let's just go up to, I don't know, somewhere over there. Okay. And then this goes up from there and then hit finish. So there's that roof. And now I can select roof again. Roof by footprint does not define a slope. And then I'm going to select that corner, select this corner, select slope arrow, and say, I want you to go from there to there, and then change it to -1 space 4, height offset, I had 0, hit apply, finish. So now I really have two roofs, but the truth of it is they're just sloped a certain way. Now I can select it and cut the section, go to the view. So they're both, I should have done it the opposite way. So I can fix that. Go back to L2, right? And select the roof, edit footprint. I want that to be 0, this to be -1'4". Apply. Again, select, finish that. And then select that roof, edit footprint, select the slope arrow. I want that to be 0, and the height offset at head is -1 space 4. Okay, apply and finish. So now my roofs should be sloped correctly. Notice how the middle is high and then the ends are a little bit lower, right? So I've got my sloped roofs. Even though from up top, if I just showed you these buildings, they do not look anything like a sloped roof. But if you zoom in a little bit, you'll start to see the slope, right? So that's pretty much how we do slopes in roofs and roofs. Again, only flat roofs for this project. Does that make sense? Questions? Again, if you look at the drawing over here, they want you to ignore all the ridges. So you might want to do a half a roof here and say, okay, that slopes that way, that slopes that way. And then same thing is, this can be one big roof and then the whole thing slopes that way. And then one big roof and the whole thing slopes, well, I guess they want it to go this way. Yeah, they want it to go this way because this side of the building is taller than this side of the building. If you recall from all these section cuts, notice this side, the service area I said is shorter and the customer area is taller. Questions? So one of the things that I think this is a really good exercise is understanding drawings, right? So there's roofs, and I think that's pretty much everything you need to know to finish the assignment.